So this is season 1, episode 4 of Friends, the one with George Stephanopoulos. So this episode has 2 main stories that both kind of have a sub-story to them. The first being about Ross, and he's remembering that today, I think it was March 20th, it doesn't really matter, was the first time that he ever had sex with Carol, which also is the first time he ever had sex.
Is today the 20th, October 20th?
I was hoping you wouldn't remember.
Oh,
What's wrong with the 20th? 11 days before Halloween, all the good costumes are gone?
today's the day Carol and I first consummated our physical relationship.
Really want to do anything, but Joey and Chandler want to go to a hockey game, and they have an extra ticket, and they can't decide who gets to take a date, so they want to bring Ross with them and kind of all hang out and lift his spirits.
Nice night out? Come on, what do you say, big guy, huh? Huh?
What are you doing?
I have no idea. Come on, Russ.
All right. Maybe it will take my mind off it. You promise to buy me a big foam finger?
You got it.
All right.
The second story is about Rachel, who is frustrated with how much she's making compared to how much she's working with her job at the coffee shop.
I earned this. I wiped tables for it. I steamed milk for it, and it was totally not worth it.
Runs into a bunch of old friends, and they kind of pick on her a little bit for working just a kind of a normal job. And they're like, when are you going to kind of wake up and come back to your normal life? Like, you don't have to do this. Just come back.
All right, let's talk reality for a second.
Okay.
When are you coming home?
What? Guys, I'm not.
Come on, this is us.
I'm not. This is what I'm doing now. I've got this job, waitressing. I'm not just waitressing.
The sub-story to that plot is with Phoebe and Monica. They're all hanging out, order a pizza, and they accidentally get George Stephanopoulos' pizza delivered to their house. And they realize that, oh, he lives across the street. And so they're trying to find out where he lives and are spying on him. This episode is pretty uneventful. There's not a ton even to say about it. There's not much it makes you think about. The main message, I would think, is Rachel and her willingness to be okay with living less, but being happier. That she feels better about making less money, but feeling more fulfilled with her friends. And which is a decent message, but it's just kind of a boring episode throughout.
It's the Visa card people. Oh, God, ask them what they want.
So one of the jokes is that the Visa company calls Rachel to see if everything's okay because she hasn't been using her card, because she doesn't have any money, because she's working as a waitress. And she goes on this long speech about how things are tough for her. And
Okay, they want to know if I'm okay. Okay, let's see. Well, let's see. The FICA guys took all my money. Everyone I know is either getting married or getting pregnant or getting promoted, and I'm getting coffee. And it's not even for me.
it ends with Phoebe telling her that, you know, you're just like Jack and the Beanstalk. You think what you have is not worth anything, but they turn out to be magic beans and they're everything you need. And Rachel has this moment where she says, well, what if all I have is beans? And I think it would have been a really powerful moment that you can, you know, build the tension and, you know, like actually care about what's happening, but they just throw a laugh track on top of it. It's not funny. It's not a joke. It's an actual moment. And yet the show has to have jokes per minute. They're trying to keep this constant, oh, this is fun, and they refuse to allow these moments to really play out. I think they get better at it throughout the series, towards, you know, later on in the series, that they're better about giving you more time to relate and feel with the character. But in these beginning episodes, it is awful.
Okay, but Monica, what if it doesn't come together? Phoebes? Well, because you just... I don't like this question. Okay, see you guys? What if we don't get magic beans? I mean, what if all we've got are beans?
So maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm unreasonably critical about this show. I mean, that's, I guess, what I'm doing intentionally. But when there's moments that can either make you feel an emotion or make you think, and they just ruin it with a laugh track, that is kind of offensive. Like, you're taking away from your audience because you're worried that they're not going to want to think, that they're not going to want to feel. And that's really just maddening. You know, like, I watch something because I want to either think or feel, right? That's kind of the goal. I want to get lost in the story. I want to, you know, feel like these characters exist and care about them and go along with them on these journeys. And laugh track is such a bad device. It's terrible. I mean, the goal is you hear it and you feel like you are having fun because others are laughing with you. That's why if you're ever in a crowded, you know, like a comedy show or in a movie in a theater and everybody's laughing, that energy you get lost in. You start having more fun because of everyone else's energy. So that's the idea behind a laugh track, but it doesn't work. It's not the same, especially when you throw it every 10, 15 seconds over nothing. It's one thing if it's always over a joke, but if it's not funny, then just let it go. Just let the moment exist. Well, I don't know. It doesn't matter. What happens next is that Ross and Chandler and Joey are all at this hockey game, and Ross ends up getting hit in the face with a hockey puck. So in the first episode, I had mentioned how characters who don't belong to the main ensemble, the main cast, the main group of friends, can be very extreme. Well, that's this nurse. She's kind of the first of many that are to come.
It says to call this number if you're not completely satisfied with this candy bar. Well, I'm not completely satisfied.
So Ross is at the hospital waiting to go get his face checked out after he got hit in the face with a puck. And the nurse is kind of giving him a hard time, but don't worry, she's going to get hers in the end. But during all this, Ross has been pining? I don't know if that's the right word. Like, just really mopey and depressed, thinking about his ex-wife and about how today is the anniversary of the first time they had sex. And it comes out that it was the first time he's ever had sex.
My first time with Carol was my first time.
What?
It was my first time.
So I watched this with my wife, and she brought up a great point about how Joey and Chandler were extremely dismissive of Ross the entire time. Like, who cares? It was your first time you and Carol had sex together. Like, get over it. Like, let's go watch hockey. But as soon as they find out it's the first time he's ever had sex, that it's when he lost his virginity, then they become very understanding.
In your whole life, you've only been with one? Oh.
Whoa, boy, hockey was a big mistake.
And my wife's point was, this is kind of a crazy reaction on Ross's part to act this way, to be so mopey. I mean, it's consistent with his character, who is just manipulating people for attention, so that's one aspect of it. But for them to be so dismissive before and then so understanding later is not really consistent, because it's kind of the same thing. It's, if you are so depressed that the anniversary of the first time you were with one person or the first time you were with any person, your understanding of that emotion should be the same, if that makes sense. She said it better than I did, but essentially everybody's crazy in this moment. No one seems to make logical sense. Ross is manipulating people with his emotions to get attention. Joey and Chandler are children who don't know how to think, I think. I think that's probably fair.
Man, can you believe he's only had sex with one woman?
I think it's great. You know, it's sweet. It's romantic.
Really?
No, you kidding? The guy's a freak. I jump.
So this next scene, just imagine that it's men on the balcony watching a woman.
Oh my God, there he is! There he is! There he is! Where? Right where we've been looking all night. Oh, he's so cute.
Oh, George, baby, drop the towel.
Yeah, come on, drop the towel. We can do it. Drop the towel. Drop this. Wow.
No, it doesn't really offend me. I don't have a problem with it. I just think it's interesting, the double standard. You know, you listen how loud the laughing is behind it. Like, oh, this is a really funny moment. And part of it is it's a subversion of normality, I guess, of like what you would consider normal. You wouldn't expect a bunch of women to do this, so that's part of the comedy. And obviously it's a lot more predatory if it were men. There's a different motive behind it, but still the when you break it down, when you really think about it, it's weird that one is appropriate and one is inappropriate and one is comedic. Like, that's just an interesting thing to think about. That's all.
Oh, that's attractive.
Don't worry, she's gonna get hers, like I promised already. Just imagine this actually happening, and imagine Ross's response after it happens. It would be not okay. These people are psychopaths.
My puck! Now that was fun.
Just think back to that magic beans moment. If that was just left, just quiet, no laugh track, just kind of sat there in that sadness, in that feeling of fear and being overwhelmed and all of that. If that was the emotion you got from that, think about how much better this would have played.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. I haven't been using it much. Oh, well, thanks, but I'm okay, really.
For the gray, for the gray.
Oh, no.
For the gray.
I've got magic beans. No, never mind.
So again, it's one of those things where the laugh track is the issue to me. I feel like the writing's good, the acting's good. It's this additional thing that they're putting on top because they're afraid it's not going to sit well with people. And that's so disappointing. But I'll stop talking about it for now. I'm sure I'll bring it up again in the next episode. But that was season 1, episode 4, the one with George Stephanopoulos. And it's fine. There's nothing to it. There's nothing important. There's nothing bad. There's not a lot that's really notable about it overall. But that's what it is. I mean, that's part of the issue with having to do, I think they do 22 episodes per season. That's a lot. You're going to end up with quite a few filler episodes. You're going to have kind of these, a season-long arc, and then you have like a mid-season, like a halfway point arcs, and then smaller arcs in between, and then arcs per each episode. But you're going to have episodes that don't even need to be in there to match that criteria. And so you just got to fit them in to fill it out and pad out the season. And I think that's what this was.